Welcome csc121. This is going to be ex23qbDataWrite. We're going to write to a new file. We're going to create a new file and write to it. This will be real quick, so this won't take long. Your instructions will be here. What you're going to do is go in coursework and find ex23. Click on the link here that you're going to fork. So you're going to go here, and then you're going to fork it, and it'll become part of yours. And you could change the name if you want. And it says we're going to have qb in file, qb out file. So now first of all, let's look here. We have a qb, this is our original in file, so we'll use that. So we'll use these names here, qb in file. I could copy this just to start here, and we'll go into our Python file. We'll just paste this here, and what we have is qb in file. That's the one we're reading, and I notice I have single quotes here, which is fine. And this is the one we're writing to, and we do not have a qb yards.txt yet. We're going to actually write to that one. So we're going to open both of these, and then we're actually going to close both of these. So we could say qb.close, and it'll be qboutfile.close. So we'll close both of these when we're done. And again, when we use the other method, we won't need these closed files. So what we're going to do here is just kind of write some information to a new file. So let's see what it says to do here. It says make sure so we already did that. And said we'll need to write the lines instead of printing to the output file. I'll have to change this. All right, I don't have very good instructions here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put the qb yards. We're just going to write it to a file. For I in qb in file, we'll say for line in qb in file, and then we're going to go back to this thing. We're going to use this values thing again. So I'm just going to copy this right from here, and we'll change it a little bit so we could change this one again. So we'll use this values thing in here before we print. So let me go back here. Let me get rid of this. And what we'll do is for each line in qb file, we'll split it. That's what we did last time. And this time we'll just say had whatever the name this person had, and this will be the passing yards, which if you go here, we'll just look for passing yards, which would be this one, the biggest one. This has 4,700 here, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be 6. So we'll just go back here in our file. We know that'll be value 6, had value 6, and we'll just put a comma, and then passing yards, and put a period. And we'll just print it out first, and then what we'll do is we'll write that to our new file. So let's just see if that prints out first before we do anything, because we're not doing anything yet with it. And that's exactly what we want. And I think on one of these I had you put a number in front of it or something. I mean, you could create a variable of a number. I think I had num. I guess I could just do num equals 0 if I want. If you want to print a number in front of that, you can try it combining it into this one. And I guess it doesn't matter where we do this here, but I'll put it here, and I'll put num plus equals 1. See how that works? And then I think what you could do here is just put num. Now it's going to put a space, but that's okay. And then I'll just put like a period here. So maybe and then I'll put a comma again. So that should number them. Let's just see if this numbers them. And you can see it puts a space there the way we did it. But we'll do that for now. That way we'll just to know how to do a number. It's almost like we did the counter before. So we're just putting a number. Let's just make sure it starts with number 1. And that's fine. I'll just throw that in there right now. These aren't in any special order other than the way they... So we'll do that. So once we have that, we know it's printing out here. All we want to do is write it to a new file. And there's nothing in the new file right now, but it actually created it. And it created it because we said open. And just by doing that, it made a file. So what we want to do is we want to do instead of doing this, we're actually going to do, we can make a variable and let's just say, I'll just call it output text or something. And it'll equal that. Hopefully we could do this just like that. That'll work with a variable, and that'll work just like that. And then instead of printing, we're going to do qboutfile.write, and then we're just going to put output text. And it has to be exactly the way this is, qboutfile, and there's our write function. And there's our output text, has to be just like that. And what it should do is it should write to this qb yards. Instead of just printing out on the page, it should write that. So let's see if this works. And so let's see what I did wrong here. Tell me line 8. So let's check line 8. Oh, it's having a problem with this. Let's try this. Let's try putting F here. and then putting these things using f strings, and we'll put the whole thing in quotes. I'll put f and then num and then a space. Then I could just put a period right here, and then these value things will go in our little brackets. Now you're going to match up all your quotes here because we can only have quotes at the beginning and end. So we start here, we have our f string, so we're putting an f string through here now, so that should fix our problem. And I see nothing here, which is a good sign. So let's go here. We should see our data right here on cubic yards. And there it is. Now, when it wrote here, it put everything jammed together. So one thing we're missing, and we could do this again, is at the end here, we'll just do a line break and make sure it's inside your quote. So we'll do the new line character that's in there, and that should break a new line each time. And let's run it one more time. It should rewrite over it with a W, so it should just write over what we had. Let's see, and that's what we want. Everything looks okay. So that's actually what we want. Again, it's a little awkward working with this stuff here, and it's new to me too. I haven't worked with these opening and closing files a whole lot, but it is interesting, and you will learn just by doing more of it and making mistakes. You'll learn more of it. So that's ex23, just writing to a file. We're going to do two little quick exercises that are actually from right out of here, and these are actually at the end of the chapter. But one thing we are going to do, I'll just point it out, is we're going to use these alternate with statements, and you'll see these. They have them called with statements, and they're actually pretty easy. They're not hard. You just say with open, and then you say as, and then that's where your variable name is. So it's a little bit different way of doing it. And also from these chapters, what these exercises are, at the very end of the chapter, if you keep going to the end here, I'll just keep going to the end here. Right after the glossary, they have a couple exercises, and they're just, one's called student data, where you're just going to kind of print out the person with the longest thing, which is going to be Sue. So there's, spoiler alert, it's going to be Sue, unless you kind of make the numbers go less. And then also you have student data text is another one we're going to do where we're actually going to print out the averages. So I'll run through doing that. They're real quick. They're not real long, but they take a little thinking involved. And there's one little thing, finding the averages, because the list things are going to originally be, they're going to be strings, and you won't be able to sum them up. So we're going to have to convert our list items to make sure they're integers before we average them up. So we'll just have to do that. But they'll be pretty short. So hopefully I could do those basically in one video. So that's ex23.